Hello folks, and welcome to another Richard Head Longbows video. Yes, the channel that helps you make bows and arrows with instructional videos and a little bit of fun along the way. These are my series of what I'm doing today in the workshop videos, where I stick a GoPro on my head and maybe another camera if it helps, and just let you see what I'm getting up to this week. As you can see, this week I've been working on a triple laminate and I'm just doing the finishing touches. I'm just sorting out the arrow plate as we speak. Unfortunately, even with two cameras, I managed to go completely wrong and there's no sound. So that's why you've got me talking to you asthma style. If you don't know what asthma is, look that up, it's quite weird. But anyway, yeah, so I've decided to do it in this way. It's a bit like one of those DVD extras you get where the director talks over the top of the film. You seen that? Yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm going to try and describe what it is that I'm up to, which I would have been doing had I not got the sound wrong. As I mentioned, this is just a video where we're looking at what I'm making. So let's say this triple laminate is a bamboo, purple heart core, that's that very sort of reddy purple colour you can see in the middle there, and a lemonwood belly, and I'm just putting the mother of pearl arrow plate in. And now I'm going to use the scraper, which gets rid of some of those, some of the marks, the more harsher marks that the file and the rasp left. I mean, that's the real art with getting rid of anything in wood, any marks, is going for a lesser and lesser grit, if you like, certainly in terms of things like sandpaper. And it's the same with tools. You start with the rasp and then move down onto the file. In this case, it's one and the same tool. The rasp has a file section on the back, and then moving on to the scraper, which just gets rid of all those marks. Now I've got the Nocks glued onto this bow. As I say, we're on the finishing stages, so the bow is pretty much tailored to how I want it to be, and now I'm working on actually getting the Nocks to the shape that I'd like them to be, getting the fit correct, the narrowing of the end of the bow there and where it meets into the nock. I'm conscious that I need to get that step free so that it smoothly moves from the diameter of the bow into the socket and into where the nock lip is. So it's more aesthetically pleasing and also functional when you're trying to brace the English longbow. The string loop has to move up the bow, up past the nock there where it sits, that join, and up into the groove which I'll eventually put into this nock. I'm using a combination here of the rasp and the file side of this rasp to get that join and obviously to get rid of the glue marks on there. I've moved on to using a half round rasp here, a smaller rasp, so I can actually do the detailing work on this nock. So I'm doing the scoop out, this section that we'd use on the bow for using a stringer, and also say the detailing at the top there. So I'm thinning out the nock, and I'm going to leave a sort of a round button shape on the top of this nock. You can really see with this sunny day that I had here, one of the rare sunny days after all that snow. I should say for our American friends, we've had 2 inches of snow, but that does seem to make our country grind to a halt. So my apologies if you're from Canada or America or in one of those places where you've had 15 feet of snow and are probably laughing at us. But yeah, with that sun that you can see, it certainly shows up the dust that's coming off this material. Certainly for people like us who work with wood and in this case horn, which is obviously a hair regularly, it really does show you that you need to be wearing a mask and use an extraction system if you can. You only really notice this stuff when you get those shafts of the rare shafts of light coming through your window. It's always interesting for my own use, actually watching these things back, at how fast I actually work with things like the rasp. where when I'm doing it, it doesn't seem that fast. It's funny. I suppose it's a bit like listening to yourself back or watching yourself back on television or your home movies or something. It never seems quite like it's you, but I'm always conscious that it looks like I'm going hell for leather, which is an expression we use over here. Just means that it looks like I'm going very, very quickly, almost like it's a Benny Hill speeded up thing, but I assure you it's not. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know why it doesn't seem quite so fast to me when I'm actually doing the work. I must obviously say this hasn't happened overnight, the ability to work at that sort of speed with those sorts of tools. I know some people cringe when they see me using those sorts of tools. Obviously one slip into that bow, which is essentially a finished bow, as I say, I've done the vast majority of the tillering, could render it useless. The rasps there really do make quite a significant mark in the materials, particularly the way that I'm holding it there. You can see I'm using both hands to increase the pressure and obviously increase my level of control, and I have got the bow, safely clamped into the vise on my bench there. But yeah, one slip, particularly on the back there, if I were to go into the bamboo, it could easily ruin that bow. I'd have to potentially pike it, which would mean taking off the nocks and chopping the bow back to where the mark is. But yeah, I've been doing this for 20 something years. I kind of got used to it, and I don't particularly think about that danger anymore. But yes, it does happen. It has happened, and it's pretty annoying when you go wrong. I've slowed to a different method there, you probably noticed, where I'm turning the bow with one hand and using the rasp with another. It means I can see the actual nock in its 3D form, if you like. I'm not working on one section of it at a time, I'm actually turning it around. So not only am I doing the shape of the nock, I also need to make sure that it's fitting straight on the bow, it's following the line of the bow. Here I'm really getting that line between the nock and the bow as smooth as possible. In fact, the eagle-eyed of you will notice it's not on this side actually, but on the other side. I think I might show it again. I've actually gone part way into the nock there. It's slightly disappearing. You can see there's a neat line, and then it scoops up slightly where I've gone a little bit too much into the horn there. It's not an issue, but it's obviously something you want to avoid, and you don't want to go too far into it. It's only a very small amount that I've gone in, and also that gap there that I'm working on between the bow and where the nocks start is very thin anyway. That isn't doing the meat of the work as far as holding the nock on. And I know that a lot of people, particularly perhaps who've never had anything to do with archery or are completely new to it, do say, well, don't the nocks come off, don't they snap? Well, in all my years of making bows, quite honestly, no. If a bow breaks, it's very, very, very rarely the nock. And if it is a nock that's come off, I mean, we obviously get people bring bows to us, say, for repair. They're not our bows, and if a nock has come off because it just hasn't been fitted correctly, not the sheer amount of meat, not the amount of horn that's present, but the actual depth of wood that's going into the nock and the quality of that fit, getting that fit neat and correct. I've done several videos on fitting nocks and actually completely carving a nock pretty much in real time. I'll put those in the description box below if you want to check those out. Excuse me, I'm using the file side here to get rid of some of those rasp marks. Once I've done that, I will then obviously move on to using the scraper again. As I say, it's this sort of 3 stages, using rasp, file, and then the scraper. Some of the detailing on this knock, which you'll see as it progresses. I have to use slightly smaller tools, a smaller file, smaller rasp, the half round rasp that you saw me using earlier on. Okay, so I've got the shape pretty much how I want it. Now, to double check that this knock is straight on the bow, i.e. is lying in line with the rest of the bow, I need to brace it up. So I'm doing my initial groove here. This is just a basic groove, because what I'll do is actually I'll put the string onto this groove, both top and bottom. So I'm going to do this sort of temporary groove, if you like. So I'm having to do this freehand. There's no guide for me here particularly. So then I'll put the string on, and the string will then lie where it wants to lie on the knock, which means I can draw with a pencil around that string, then take the string off, and then do the proper groove, again using this rat tail rasp, which is the tool there, and get that into where that pencil line is, which means I've then got the grooves onto the knock exactly where the string will sit, where it wants to sit on the bow. Again, you can really see that dust there. Again, it's another one of those things I don't notice until I look it back. Here we are. So I've done the groove there, and that's the string sat into that groove. And it means I can look down the bow with the bow braced up, and I can really see whether that knock is straight, which you can't really tell with the bow unbraced. It's not as easy to tell. You may find when you brace it up that the bow imparts some sort of twist, or just the sort of the view of that knock is very different, particularly say if you hold the bow in your hand as if you were shooting it and you look up at the knock, look up at the line of the string. So there we are. So I'm happy with that now. I'm happy with the detailing. You can probably see that round sort of button shape that I was talking about, and I'm just using a foam sanding block here again to get some more of those marks out. Once I've done that and I'm happy with that, I will move on to the scraper, which will be the final stage as far as using tools goes on the knock here. So you can see by using this scraper, you can really see where the black buffalo horn here start to come to life. You start getting that nice contrast. You've got the grey there from the tools and from the sanding block and what have you, but using that scraper, that fine tool, you can really start to see the black come through. So I'm working on the back here. Now, one of the weird things with horn, if you treat it, say, as you would, excuse the pun, it has a grain to it, and because we're doing quite an elaborate shape here, we're not just doing the elongated shape of the longbow, we're actually doing a carving here. But so we've gone in, we've gone out, we've gone through, I've created an odd shape, so the grain changes. So I'm having to change the direction that I move the blade. See, now I'm moving the blade of that scraper away from me. If I were to go the other direction, I would actually pick the grain up and it would start to go grey again. So if you're working on a knock and it's not going quite the colour you want, you might just need to change the direction of your tool. Here I'm having to use one hand here and start going into that the more complex area. I'm making my life difficult here by doing these types of knocks and types of shape. It ends up with very, very tight areas, as you can see. I'm really having to get that into there, find which way the direction of the grain's going, and really pick at it and reveal that nice dark colour. The bit I'm working on there is the that inside sweep area that, as I say, will be used for the cord there. Now this is a simple method to see how far you've gone, see whether you've gone far enough. And I've just licked my finger and I'm just applying that to the knock, and it just gives you a good idea of what it will look like once you've polished it up. Just a quick and rough and ready way of seeing if I'm happy with it. It'll show up any marks really. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay, as I said, this is the sort of final look at doing this bow, so I'm going to be doing the final tillering on it. So I'm putting the bow up onto the tiller now, as I've mentioned in my other videos. I tend not to work too much on the tips, because putting the nocks on and reducing those tips down into the nocks means that they're going to end up bending a bit more. So I'm working the bow in because I've removed wood from those tip areas, as well as the nocks. So I just need to see if that's changed at all, and I can do any final adjustments I need to do. And also checking the weight. Now this bow is intended for a customer. He wanted around 40 at 28. So I'm just weighing it up now to see what it is. Unfortunately, it's actually 50 plus at 28, and that's £10 I'd need to remove, so that's too much to remove from this bow. So sadly, that is a bow I'm going to need to put to one side and start again for that customer. Such is the life of a bowyer. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that video, folks. I hope you found that useful, just seeing what I'm up to. If you want to see more videos of what I'm up to and some more in-depth videos, then obviously feel free to join us and subscribe. If you want to see something that you want to see, some aspect of making bows and arrows, then give us a shout and let us know what you'd like to see. Check out those videos I was talking about in the description box below. And yeah, thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you again soon.